From the American side to the west in Kansas City on I-70 to here to Busch Stadium in St. Louis, and 53,000 fans, a sellout to see the Cardinals and Dodgers in Game 4. Hello, everyone. I'm Dick Enberg. It's a beautiful early evening, temperature in the 60s. It's a cloudless sky, but it wasn't that way earlier this afternoon. And the rains that fell created a freak accident involving Vince Coleman, the star rookie outfielder of the St. Louis Cardinals. 110 stolen bases. They had started batting practice. Coleman did not see this automatic roller coming up from behind him. His leg was caught underneath it. He was trapped, screaming in pain and fear. Dodger bat boy had this report.
Vince Coleman, he was looking towards the home plate area away from the tarp, and it started rolling up, and I saw it catch his foot, and he tried to step back with his right, and he fell down and just rolled up over above his knee.
Let's go. They carried Coleman off, the teammates of Vince Coleman, and at that time they didn't know if that was his entire career. What was the damage? We're pleased to report there were no fractures. They've taken x-rays. It is a seriously bruised ankle. He will not play tonight. Tito Landrum will replace him in the lineup. Willie McGee will move into the leadoff spot, and they say it's possible that Coleman might even play in Game 5 tomorrow. We hope so. So that is alleviating a lot of fears here in St. Louis. The pitching matchup tonight for the Dodgers, it'll be Jerry Royce. Fernando Valenzuela, an extra day's rest, will pitch tomorrow, and John Tudor, the left-hander, a 121. That's the most wins by a Cardinal southpaw in 40 seasons. Back to Howie Paulette. Joe Morgan joins us, and well, you know where to find him. He likes to be on the bases. He's enjoying the base-stealing Cardinals. We'll get his report when we return.
This is the animal. And this is the Minolta office system with TLC, the type and learn concept that makes it easy to train even an animal. He's already typing neat letters. He's got a firm grip on word processing, and now he's tearing up the computer. Well, Mr. Animal, did we prove our point?
Yeah, everybody ought to have one.
Trenton, New Jersey, 08650. That's box 8585, Trenton, New Jersey.
John Tudor standing center stage after plate umpire Terry Tate to examine the ball. Tudor, who went 5 2/3 against the Dodgers in Game 1, allowed 3 earned runs and suffered the loss. Now comes back for his second shot, and he'll be facing Mariano Duncan, who returns to the starting lineup. Duncan, you remember, was spiked on the left knee, fouled the ball off on his right instep, and was unable to play yesterday, but he's back in the lineup tonight. Foul down the right field line, out of play, and the count 1-1. Tudor 1-2 with the Dodgers during the regular year, 3-3 lifetime, plus the loss in the league championship series. Foul back, 1-2. To give my mother credit for that old Irish expression, we have come on the air horseback, Joe.
Yes, we have. We came in on horseback, but we're here, and it should be a dandy.
Because of the injury to Vince Coleman, the best laid plans of mice and men were really scrambled here tonight. So the count remains 1-2 to Mariano Duncan. If you plan to keep score, we didn't even have time to give you the lineup. So slowly we'll duck it in. Hitting number 2 is Enos Cabell at first base. And Pedro Guerrero in left field. Bill Madlock in the cleanup spot at third. Mike Marshall in right field. And Mike Scioscia behind the plate. Strike 3 call. Mariano Duncan strikes out. Tudor in 5 2/3 innings struck out 3 in his maiden voyage. His first strikeout the other night in Los Angeles was Guerrero. So here is Cabell. Where were we? Marshall in right field and Mike Scioscia behind the plate hitting 6th. Candy Maldonado in center field. Steve Sachs hitting 8th. And the pitcher, Jerry Royce.
Tudor is basically a 2-pitch pitcher, a fastball that sinks and tails, got a good changeup, and he's not afraid to come inside.
1-0. Off speed, and Cabell way out in front of it.
That's his better pitches. I mean, he uses that anytime. See it like a pound ball the way he threw it. Way out in front. Change speeds well.
1 ball and 1 strike, the count. One hopper to the left of Ozzie. And just like that, a toe dance, and Clark got back on the bag. 2 down, and Pedro Guerrero coming up.
It's an easy play for Ozzie. Kind of nonchalants the play and really misses his target as it sails away. You can see Clark come off and just does get him. He didn't really gun that ball over there, and that's why the tail.
So with 2 out in the first inning, Pedro Guerrero coming up. Guerrero in the first game had a base hit. It was just a little flare, a blooper to right, but it knocked in a run against Tudor. Strike, fastball at the knee. Tudor has struck out 9 in a game twice this year. He had 9 complete games in which he allowed no more than 5 hits. Time called. 0-1. 2 down, first inning, no scores. So pull up a chair and spend part of Sunday evening with us. John Tudor and Jerry Royce. Fisted foul down the right field line, out of play.
I'd like to underscore the fact that Tudor comes inside. There are a lot of pitchers who come inside. I do want to add that he'll throw inside strikes, and that makes a big difference to the extent that if you just pitch a hitter inside, he'll back off and say, well, he's just moving me back. But if you hit that inside corner, now you widen the plate. It's 17 inches, but when you throw inside strikes, you make that plate about 25 inches.
Well, he really challenged Guerrero and busted one in on the fists in the count. 0-2. And there's a high fly ball to left field. It's playable. Landrum is there. So Tito Landrum, who is playing for Vince Coleman, gets his feet wet early. No score at the end of half an inning.
Socha's behind the plate. I think they'll be testing Mike again. Royce on the mound. Royce, he throws a fastball inside of the right-handers. It actually looks like a slider. It really isn't, and he'll sink it away, change his speeds, and big leg kick, so they'll have a little bit of an added advantage when they get on base.
Interesting thing about the Cardinals and the fact that they have normally 5 switch hitters in the lineup. Ground ball to Duncan. Mariano over to Cabell, 1 away. Against the league, when the Cardinals switch hitters bat right-handed, they are poorer for it, but not against the Dodgers. For instance, McGee has most of his power, 7 of his 10 home runs right-handed. All 6 of Ozzie Smith's home runs come left-handed. And Coleman, Herr, and Smith actually hit better right-handed against the Dodgers. So here is Ozzie. And his numbers pile up. 750 as a right-handed batter. Jerry Royce has had his problems. They really hit him last year. In January, he had surgery to remove small bone fragments from his left elbow. And in October, bone spurs from both heels. Fly ball to Maldonado and Marshall, and it will be Maldonado. 2 down. In case you missed it, just down the road, actually straight west of here on I-70, Kansas City came back to life, beat Toronto 2-0. Danny Jackson the winner, Jimmy Key the loser. Toronto leads the series 3-2, and of course the series now goes back to Toronto. It was interesting too, Jerry Royce is using that because he has never won in a league championship series play, and now that Hauser has won twice, Jerry thinks maybe he'll finally get one. He was 0-3 when he was a member of the Pirates. In fact, the Dodgers beat him twice. That's a strike to Tommy Herr. He also lost to Cincinnati. Then as a Dodger in the playoffs, he lost to Montreal in '81 and twice to the Phillies in '83. 0-1. Herr hit his home run left-handed yesterday. Ground ball to the left of Duncan. Gobbles it, throws, gets him, and a very quick first inning. So at the end of an inning, the Dodgers nothing, the Cardinals nothing, and we're full underway.
sure. Trail decks through back streets and dark alleys.
Here's the defense in the outfield. Landrum, McGee, Cedeno, Pendleton, star yesterday, Smith, Hearn, Clark in the infield, Nieto behind the plate. They'll be testing him. Tudor on the mound, and Landrum in left field. And you can come up with all kinds of statistics, but Jim Fry, look at that, only 3 errors in his 6-year career, but Jim Fry, manager of the Cubs, he says when he's out there, that outfield is as good, if not better, than when Van Slyke is out there, so they don't lose that much.
Interesting, too, when you hear that name Tito, T-I-T-O, Landrum, you think that he's either from Yugoslavia or South America. Well, he was born in Joplin, Missouri. And here is Bill Matlock. Busted bat, ground ball to Ozzie Smith. He knew he had plenty of time, and he took it. 1 away. So Matlock is jammed, and again Tudor able to crack a bat. He's retired 4 in a row. In Los Angeles, Tudor started out and retired 7 in a row, and then Sachs got a base hit, and he really got into his trouble in the 6th inning. Mike Marshall has 1 career home run against Tudor, and he is 3 for 15 lifetime against him. He has been in a considerable slump in the LCS and takes him to deep center, but McGee to the track makes it going away. It is small consolation to Mike Marshall to know that's a home run at Dodger Stadium.
But the pitch was away. He tried to hit it straight away, and McGee still had plenty of room. They see a lot of that here. We've said it so many times, only because Whitey says it. If it stays in the park, I expect it to be caught, and usually it is.
So the difference of 14 feet. The difference in center field from Dodger Stadium and Busch Stadium, and here, it's just a long road of busted dreams. And here's Mike Scioscia. 0-1, 1-0.
Reminds you of that great Willie Mays line in the Polo Grounds. Center field where triples go to die.
Go to die. 1 ball, no strikes. Scioscia in the first game went 1 for 3. He had a base hit to center against Tudor. 2-0. In case you joined us a little late, Vince Coleman suffered a freak accident when he was caught by the tarpaulin, the automatic tarp that comes up rolling out of the ground, and his left leg was bruised. Fly ball to center. McGee should handle it. We'll give you a description of Coleman's story when we come back. But the Dodgers are gone in order. 6 in a row are retired, and Willie McGee can take that Gold Glove and put it back on the bench at the end of an inning and a half. No score. Here's a quick description of the Coleman injury. An avulsion of skin on the left leg, contusions on the left foot up to the mid-thigh, the circulatory system intact, the neurological system intact, the ankle, foot, and knee also intact. X-rays were negative. No evidence of a fracture, no apparent tissue damage. The right leg was not involved. He'll be reevaluated tomorrow. Line drive, right center, base hit for Jack Clark. Had a pretty good summation of himself in talking about the other Cardinals. He said, we have drag racers and funny cars. I'm just a stocker. Well, the stock car just blistered one into right center for a base hit, and the batter is Cesar Cedeno. Clark 3 for 9, and Cedeno has all 6 of his at-bats have been balls that stayed on the infield. Off speed, ball 1, 1-0. Jerry Royce trying for his first championship series play victory. No strikes to Cedeno. Clark a short lead at first. Ground ball to third, right under Madlock's glove. Madlock should have made that play.
It was right inning. The ball was hit hard, but it's one of those plays you have to make. On the artificial surface, it's pretty obvious it gets to you sooner, but it's also a true bounce you get. And watch this. Right under the glove.
And yet they're giving it a base hit, so it shows you the difference. If he gets his glove on the ball, it's a double play. But he just didn't get down for it. So Royce is in trouble. Runners at first and second and nobody out. For Cedeno, he gets a base hit. And it's the first hit for that right field platoon of Cedeno and Van Slyke. They were 0 for 10. And now here's Landrum. Landrum, as we mentioned, hit only 140, used sparingly against the Dodgers this year. In the dirt. 1 ball and no strikes.
Mike Scioscia, he's been blocking plays and throws all series. Looking for the ground ball, and there it is. Now watch it break right into the middle. He got that left leg over there, and it breaks back, and he was there. And he pushes Landrum out of the way so he can get a good view, although we don't have really speed merchants on the bases.
Clark at second, Cedeno at first, nobody out. Second inning, no score. Ground ball to the left and through to left center base hit. Clark is coming up to score. Maldonado wide at third. Down to second goes Landrum.
Sure, what Lasorda is upset about is the fact that Maldonado's throw went to third. The base hit is going to knock in the run, and this throw is not even close, and the man is allowed to go to second base. You stay away from the double play. I mean, second and third, you can't get that double play with a man on second and third. First and third, throw should have gone to second.
And they're going to pitch to Terry Pendleton with Tom Nieto, the catcher, on deck. Big chopper to Sachs. That's going to get a run home, and just like that, it's 2-0 St. Louis. The key to the inning was the ground ball that got by Matlock.
You might add another key, Vin, on this particular out. Now, when Landrum takes second, the ground ball scores the run. He picks up 2 bases with that out. He picks up the run, and over third with 1 man out is Landrum. And Nieto can handle a bat. You have to be careful. They'll never try anything with him up there.
Tom Nieto, a very good bunter. Maybe one of the best bunters that Whitey Herzog has. And with a runner at third, Landrum, the Dodgers shorten up. They pull up Cabell and Matlock. They're halfway with Duncan and Sachs. So you have to look for a possible squeeze. We'll watch Landrum. He's not coming. Strike.
And you can see Scioscia take a look at the bench, and Malfitano gives him the pitch-out calls, and Mike checking with them.
Rick Honeycutt heatedly warming up in the Dodger bullpen. And Royce in trouble right away. Born and raised here in St. Louis, and they're not about to treat him kindly because of it. 0-1. Off speed, and he missed. 1 ball and 1 strike. Royce doesn't walk very many, but he doesn't strike out very many. In more than half his starts, he has struck out 2 or less. So with a runner at third, you don't expect him to blow the hitter away. 1-1. The count to Nieto with 1 out. Ball 2. Now, if you're Lasorda and you had this combination, I'd almost be sure he would squeeze. This is a favorite Tommy Lasorda count to squeeze on. We'll see if Herzog is thinking the same way.
Nieto took a good look at his third base coach, Hallinier, and there you see Scioscia checking with a Malfitano. He's looking. Everybody's looking around.
We'll watch Landrum. He'll tip it. If he's coming, the squeeze is on. 2 balls, 1 strike. He is coming, and the bunt fouled away. So they both think alike.
Yeah. Nothing really changes. It's a full circle. He's going to try to pick up that run, and he had handcuffs on Royce and Scioscia. You saw Mike look for some help on the pitch out, but you're really trapped. But Landrum really waits until the ball is delivered, and then he comes hard. It's a suicide.
Tom Nieto is another one of those kids who are members of the Southern California connection. He's from Artesia. trying to punch a hole in the Dodgers and get the Cardinals even. 2-2. Ball 3. Not much on that.
Now, that was really a lollipop curveball. It's almost like when you pick up a bar of soap in the shower and it squibs out. He just squibbed that one. It didn't have any bite to it.
The Royce is battling to stay in the game. He's given up 3 hits and 2 runs here in the second inning. And Nieto trying to pick up Landrum. And that's hit foul out of play. You know, Mark Twain wrote it, so he wouldn't believe it, but I wish he were here tonight. He said noise proves nothing. Often a hen who laid an egg cackles as if she laid an asteroid. But I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Twain, this crowd has made a lot of noise, and it has made an impact so far. And there's ball 4. Here's the key. You can put it in the lock in this inning, and it's a mad lock.
Ball is well hit, and it comes off the artificial surface, but seems to me he should have been able to field that one. I don't think I would have given him a base hit. Wayne Monroe and Jack Herman are the official scorers, so any complaints you write to them, don't write to us.
This man has a lot of complaints, and among other things now, you have a very good bunter at the plate in John Tudor. He had 7 sacrifice bunts. He was going to maybe drag that time. Cavell coming in at first. Madlock shortened up at third.
Casey Stengel loved this play, and the reason for it, pretty simple. The worst you can get out of his second and third 2 outs of base hit drives and 2 runs. He's trying to stay away from the double play. Use the bunt right here as a defensive weapon.
1-0. And he squeezes, and Royce kicks it.
That's his job. It's a suicide squeeze. Sosha knows he's got him, but then when he sees Royce drop it, you see the reaction. It's right back at him, and it's bunted fairly hard. They had to play it to play, and he just booted it. And you could hear Madlock hollering, there he goes.
So you have runners at first and second, 3 runs in for the Cardinals, and here's Willie McGee. A drive to right. Marshall has to go back to the track at the wall to make the catch. Tagging at second is Nieto to move over to third. And McGee gave it a ride, and Royce is certainly not long for this one. In fact, Ron Peranowski is going out, I'm sure, if nothing else, to try and settle him down. Jerry is probably the poorest fielder of all the starting Dodger pitchers. And the Cardinals took advantage of it almost immediately with that bunt by Tudor, which was not a good bunt.
It was right back at him, but when you play this Cardinal ball club, it's almost like you're playing 9 guys with a hot foot. I mean, they're always moving, taking extra bases. They're breaking up the infield. As we're looking at Honeycutt. So they always have you on edge, and I'm sure that Jerry Royce, feeling it with that speed on, he was going to rush it, and when he rushed the play, he lost it.
Royce now working on Ozzie Smith with runners at first and third, and the pitch high, ball 1. They have just come down with the scoring. It'll be a fielder's choice, no sacrifice, and an error charged to Royce. Now back. So in the inning, Clark singled to right. Cedeno hit a hard ground ball, but Madlock, we feel, should have made the play. Didn't. It went for a base hit. Then Landrum singled in a run. Pendleton grounded out for a second run. Nieto walked, and Tudor tried to squeeze, and Royce muffed the play. And it is 3-0 Cardinals, second inning. 1-1 to Ozzie Smith, who flied to center in the first inning. There's a one-hopper off Duncan's glove. Nieto scores. Tudor stops at second. It is 4-0 St. Louis, and they're not laying an egg here tonight.
gets over in pretty good shape, tries to backhand it, much like Ozzie tried in Los Angeles, and it's ruled a base hit. And the Cardinals have put 4 runs up there, and Lasorda and Baranowski have to wonder.
4 runs, 4 hits for the Cardinals, and for the Dodgers, nothing except an error and a lot of hot necks. And here is Tommy Herr, the 9th man to come to the plate. John Tudor is at second, Ozzie Smith at first. Herr grounded to short in the first inning. First, John Tudor at second. 4 runs over. Royce is due to bat third when the Dodgers hit in the 3rd inning. One ball, no strikes. 2-0.
Even look at his third base coach. He knows that if he likes it, he can hit it.
Tommy Herr hitting .364. Of course, a .302 average during the regular season, so he is Mr. Consistency. And on deck is Jack Clark, who started the inning with the base hit. That's fouled off his foot. No play. 2-1 the count. So what started out on a rather ominous note for the Cardinals, the loss of Vince Coleman, has turned completely around, and at the outset. And Tito Landrum, Vince Coleman's substitute, contributed in this inning with a base hit and a run batted in.
And took second on that bad throw and scored.
Fastball, and that's hit into right center field. Base hit. Here comes Tudor to score. Ozzie to third. 5-0 St. Louis. In a championship, as Lasorda can't bear to look. They will have 11 men to the plate when Jack Clark comes up there, and Rick Honeycutt will be pitching to Clark to start it off. Runners at first and third, and of course you can just imagine both managers, Herzog figuring, well, if 5 isn't enough for John Tudor at home, I'll eat my hat. And for Lasorda, he's got to think, I've been buried here tonight. Well, the history books tells you that the Lewis and Clark expedition started in St. Louis and went west. Lasorda and Basco don't care about Lewis and Clark. But this expedition would appear to be heading west again. And it'll be a different Clark. He singled to right in the 2nd inning, opening up the inning.
He jumped on that first pitch his first time up, and usually the relief pitcher comes in. He wants to get ahead of him, and it's usually the fastball he gets ahead with. And you can bet the Jack is sitting on that fastball. And if it is a fastball, you're liable to see a pretty good cut.
So 1st and 3rd, 2 out. Biggest inning the Cardinals had all year. They scored 7 in a game against Atlanta way back in May. And they've If you're wondering about the National League Championship Series, the most runs in an inning, 6 by the Chicago Cubs last year. 1-0 to Jack Clark and Rick Honeycutt, with runners at first and third picking up. On the corner, 1-1. Tomorrow's pitchers are Fernando Valenzuela and Bob Forsch. Fernando 17-8, Forsch 8-5. To Clark. With a left-hander pitching, you got to watch Ozzie down the line from third, and Rick suddenly decided he had better do just that. Ozzie is 0 for 1 in trying to steal home.
He's also got a pretty good base runner over at first, and sure, if Clark were not the hitter, they might have tried something before that. Well, Ozzie's really got a big lead because Madlock has to play so deep.
1-1. Standing at third. He'll go down the rug a long way from where he is now by the time Honeycutt pitches. And standing over at first is Tommy Hurd. One and two. 2-2. Trying to turn that ball over, and he almost corkscrewed it into the dirt.
If nothing else, so Mike Scioscia has really given his pitchers confidence to throw that ball low, because he has blocked enough of them, and he has shown you get it there, chances are I'll be in front of it.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out to number 22, Jack Clark, and the Cardinals flying high, 5-0. Pitcher spot is due up third, and the Dodgers are down by 5. They're thinking of hitting for Honeycutt. Fouled away. And down in the Dodger bullpen, right-hander Bobo Castillo and left-hander Carlos Diaz. So what Honeycutt would appear to be asked to do is get Clark get the last out. Two balls and 2 strikes to Jack Clark. Her at first, Smith at third. Ground ball up the middle, and it continues. NLCS game. Over in the American League, Greg Nettles did it once in an ALCS game back in 1981. So Jack Clark gets his name in the record books.
They had overshifted so much, he was really fooled with the pitch. He hit it off the end of the bat, but they were over towards third, right back up the middle, and no one could get it.
Here's Cedeno, 2 on and 2 out. Ball 1. For sure, if this were a fight, they'd have stopped it already on eye cuts. It is 6-0 St. Louis, and we're only in the 2nd inning. Cedeno trying to pick up Tommy Hurd at second, Jack Clark from first. One ball and no strikes. Turn that one over. Ball 2.
All singles. I mean, there hasn't been that one big blast. It's just been little jabs. They've been nicking you, and you don't feel it. You take a step and you collapse.
Like being eaten to death by a moth.
Right.
2 balls, no strikes. 6 runs, 6 hits, plus a walk, plus an error by Royce. 2-0. High foul, out of play. Cedeno. Clark had singled, and it was Cedeno who hit the hard ground ball that just got by Matlock. That might have been the difference in the whole inning and the game, and who knows. Fouled away. 2 strikes. Tommy Herr returns to second, and Jack Clark to first. The Cardinals with a chance to draw even tonight. Then tomorrow, Fernando and Forsch. Then a travel day, and the scene will shift back to Los Angeles. Play, and it's still 2-2. The Dodgers were retired 6 in a row by John Tudor, and Royce had the whole thing unravel in the bottom of the 2nd inning. So it is 6-0 St. Louis.
You get the feeling Tudor pitched yesterday?
He'll have to ask directions to the mound.
In a long inning.
And 2 strikes to Cedeno. Ball 3. So Herr and Clark ready to move on a full count pitch. And on deck is Tito Landrum.
You see Mike pointing as we look at him, the first base, and what he's also saying is get Clark, because he's going to have a 5-step jump with a 3-2 count. Might get a chance at Clark, but you got no chance at Herr on the base hit.
3-2. The count is Cesar Cedeno. Herr and Clark ready to go. And it's a ground foul down the line. I'm going to give you a name, and it's not fair really, but if you folks are from Missouri, have you ever heard of the name William Duncan Van Diver?
Who?
William Duncan Van Diver.
He's not from my own neighborhood.
Not from your neighborhood. I'll tell you why when this inning is over. Because it was certainly the feeling that the Cardinals had coming home. Expressed perfectly. 3-2 to Cedeno. Herr and Clark ready and go. And there is ball 4. Tell you about William Duncan McDiver right now.
Okay, I'm ready.
William Duncan Van Diver in a banquet in 1899. It was a naval banquet in Philadelphia. He said, quote, I come from a state that raises corn and cotton and cockleburs and Democrats, and frothy eloquence neither convinces nor satisfies me. I am from Missouri. You have got to show me.
All right.
William Duncan Van Diver.
Oh, Willie knew what he was talking about, didn't he?
So the bases are loaded, and the Cardinals are showing them, and the batter is Landrum. What do you think I'll do hanging around these empty hotel rooms on the road?
Hey, listen, the Van Diver family thanks you profusely. I mean, how many people know that?
I always did wonder, though, where that show me came from, and I assume it came from that speech.
I thought President Truman said it.
Oh, 2-1 to count. Ground foul, out of play. 0-2. Needless to say, if you have just tuned in and you hear the name William Duncan Van Diver, you know there's an awful lot going on for one side. And it is all St. Louis. They have chased Jerry Royce. They have scored 6 times. They are looking for more with the bases loaded. And Landrum was singled in the 2nd inning, trying to add to the heap. No balls, 2 strikes.
Look at him.
Clark, and Cedeno.
Interesting how he's trying to time him with that bat. Look at him. He was just holding that bat, kind of pointing it. It's a page out of the Charlie Lau theory of hitting. He just kind of waits. Right now, he just relaxed, and then he'll kind of point that bat and start it back when he thinks Honeycutt's getting ready.
Tito Landrum playing for Vince Coleman, and it is 6-0 St. Louis.
Surface bounce, and all Duncan could do is catch it and really ask for the salt, because he's going to have to eat it. And Lasorda, I'm sure, would like to call timeout, signal for a fair catch, and go over the roster, because it's really been a great inning for the Cardinals, a tough one for the Dodgers.
And the batter is Terry Pendleton with the bases loaded, 2 out, and the Cardinals have rolled a 7 and lead 7-0. You know, the Dodgers should have realized they were in for a little trouble. In 1978, the Dodgers won the first 2 games of the best-of-7 World Series with the Yankees. And then they lost in New York. And one of the guys who beat them in New York wore the same number as the kid at the plate who put on such a great show yesterday with the glove. That's right, number 9 was worn by Greg Nettles. Bouncer foul. 0-2.
Well, the word we had was that Vince Coleman would be in the ballpark and could even sit on the bench. But the way it's going, he could just give the guys the keys and say, here, I'm going home, you lock up.
The rate they're going, there are some who feel he'll be cured by the end of the inning.
If Landrum gets about 3-4 more hits, it'll be a miracle drug.
0-2 the count. Clark, Cedeno, and Landrum all out there on the limb. And Pendleton trying to chase more home. It is 7-0 St. Louis in the 2nd inning with Tom Nieto on deck. Look out. 1-2. There's Nieto waiting his turn. We told you the Southern California connection. Nieto is from Artesia. Terry Pendleton is from Fort Juaneme. Bill Campbell from Corona. Brian Harper from San Pedro. Ozzie Smith Compton. Todd Worrell, Arcadia. And Coach Nick Leyva from Laverne. And from the looks of things, they'll have a chance to visit with their relatives early next week. All these runs, all 7, belong to starter Jerry Royce. Honeycutt came in to pitch to Clark, who was at 3rd. And that's hit into right center field. Base hit. In comes Clark. In comes Cedeno. 9-0 Cardinals. Tudor flying high. High fives all around, and a big 9 on the scoreboard. And we're in the second inning. Continues on NBC Sports. Playoff fever begins at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Game 5 of the National League Championship Series between the Dodgers and the Cardinals, live from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting on NBC Sports. Let's think a minute about the Cardinals. Bob Forsch is going to pitch tomorrow against Fernando Valenzuela. The thought is that Joaquin Andujar has gone sour. That's foul. All right, you got a day off traveling. Danny Cox came out yesterday because of stiffness in his elbow, a chronic condition that has popped up throughout the year. Joe, as a professional, you're out in front 9-0. Would you pitch Tudor maybe 2 more innings and take him out and then have him rested? Or would you just take this game and try to use him up, and that's that?
I would take this game, I would use him and make sure I got it in the bank. I'm from the DeRocher school. It may rain tomorrow and the next day and the next day. I want this one. And Tudor is already warmed up. It's his start. Can't bring him back that soon anyhow. And when I get down, if I really need him, I think he'll come back. I wouldn't get fancy and start playing tricks.
Here's Bobo Castillo mopping up. And that is something for the Dodgers, mopping up in the second inning. That's a strike. And there it is. Mercifully, the Cardinals are retired and get a standing ovation. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Wednesday on Helltown.
Game 4 of the 1985 National League Championship Series is brought to you by... Here are the scores, and you might notice the blinking note, the fact that the St. Louis football Cardinals have already been outscored by the St. Louis baseball Cardinals. By the way, the new league championship record for most runs in an inning and most hits in an inning, you have just seen it, 9 runs and 8 hits, as you are checking out the NFL scores. The Dodgers are checking out the exits, and it'll be Candy Maldonado followed by Steve Sachs, and we'll see about Honeycutt, or Honeycutt's replacement, Castillo. Some discussion before the start of the game today, as there was in New York in the first game back in Los Angeles, as to whether Landreau would start against Tudor. But among other things, Landreau has a very sore knee that is puffed up, and Maldonado is in there. 0-2 to Candy.
That's what John Tudor has to do. He has to stick to his game plan, much like it's a close game. He has to stay away from the base on balls, throw strikes, but he can't just stand out there and throw fastballs. And he knows that. Here's that off-speed pitch. You can see it turn over, and he gets the strike. Vin, my scorecard for the Dodgers looks neat. I'd get an E, and the one for the Cardinals, it looked like I used a post office pen.
Yeah, it's dreadful. Mine is the same.
Got them all over.
Well, here's Steve Sachs. He has never hit a 9-run home run in his career, but he did have the first hit for the Dodgers in each of the first 2 games, including the first hit against Tudor. Cardinals 9, Dodgers nothing in the third. Well, let's see. I don't say I had a premonition, but we did have just a couple of gentle reminders from great minds. Next time we have a picture of Tommy Lasorda, we might give you a Mark Twain. 2-1 the count.
Okay.
Mark Twain wrote, when angry, count to 4. When very angry, swear. 2-2.
He's not counting. He's not swearing. He's hardly breathing. That Italiano boiler is really churning, though, I'll tell you, man. He is upset. Double industrial strength brioche wouldn't help him.
runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Cardinals. That's right, 9 runs. No runs, no hits, an error for the Dodgers. Now back, 2-2 to Sachs. On deck is Bobo Castillo. No one throwing in the Dodger pen, so Bobo's going to stay in there a while. 2-2. Got him.
Took something off the pitch once again. That's a 3rd strikeout, and he's really using the off-speed pitch, throwing strikes. And obviously, here it comes again. Take a look at it. Watch how far out in front Sachs gets with this one. Way out there. You're managing, you're trailing by 9. There's nothing you can do. You can't bunt, you can't hit and run, you can't try to steal, and you can just sit there and hope that they can revive the body, because that's about what it is. They're mouth to mouth.
Dial a prayer.
The line will be busy.
Yep.
Suicide prevention, they say it ain't a bad idea.
0-1 the count to Bobo Castillo. 2 out in the 3rd, 9-0 Cardinals, and a ground ball to short. Ozzie to Clark. 9 in a row, retired by John Tudor. And at the end of 2.5 innings, well, you know.
Faces.
Here is Tudor's off-speed pitch. Take a look at how deep in the palm of his hand he grips that ball. And then notice the spin when he releases it. Not his curveball. He throws it with the arm speed of a fastball, but being that deep, he can't get that much on it. It's his off-speed pitch, and he kind of turned it over a little bit, and that was the Sachs who was way out in front.
Well, here's John Tudor to start it off. It's his 2nd at bat, and we're in the 3rd inning. You remember Tudor tried to squeeze and made a bad bunt. He bunted it straight back at Royce, but Royce, who had an easy play to get it out at the plate, muffed it, and then the wheels really came off. By the way, that's the 3rd time this year that the Dodgers had an opposing team score 9 runs in an inning against them. The Pirates and Cincinnati. At Pittsburgh and at Cincinnati. The most runs the Dodger pitching staff gave up in one game at Pittsburgh. It was that May 3rd, same game, 16. And here we go, ball 4 to Tudor.
That doesn't help Lasorda's health. Walked the pitcher to lead off the inning.
Center fielder, Willie McGee.
Willie McGee has grounded to short and flied to right. 0 for 2. I tell you, a sad sight watching no matter who the ball player would be, but we just caught him. McGee takes ball 1. Terry Whitfield of the Dodgers, who is their #1 pinch hitter, with a couple of bats, went down the runway to swing them. I really don't know who he's going to hit for. He's left-handed, but he's just got to get off the bench. 1 ball and no strikes. That's a strike. 1-1. Standing at first, John Tudor. He worked his way around in the 2nd inning. And that's lifted to right center. Marshall looking over at Maldonado. 1 away. Cardinals send 14 batters to the plate in the 2nd inning. So all of a sudden, here's Ozzie Smith for his 3rd at bat, and we're in the 3rd inning. Ozzie has flied to center, singled, and now hitting left-handed. Strike.
In a game like this, you could come into a game feeling good, have a hot bat, play the whole game, and be in a slump.
I know what you mean. Little nubber by Castillo, picked up by Duncan, who pulled Cavell off the bag.
Once it got by Castillo, it was going to be a tough play. Duncan short hops it. And You can see him pull Cabell off, and Smith is safe.
Base hit.
And they rule it a hit. Okay.
So a single following the walk. The Cardinals now in business to score more. They have 9 runs on 9 hits. 7 runs and 5 hits off Royce. 2 runs, 3 hits off Honeycutt, and now the single off Castillo. Ball 1. The only 2 Cardinals without a hit, the only 2 standing on the outside of the candy store looking in, are the pitcher, who has a walk, and the league's leading hitter, who is 0 for 3, Willie McGee. 1 ball, no strikes. John Tudor at second base, Willie McGee at first. We're in the 3rd. Cardinals 9 runs, 9 hits. The Dodgers no runs, no hits. John Tudor has retired 9 in a row and struck out 3. By Jack Clark. Herr's power production has changed. He has doubled up each of the last few years in home runs. In his first year, he hit his first big league home run. He wound up hitting 2 in 1983. Then in 84, he doubled that. He hit 4 home runs. Then in 85, this year, he doubled that. He hit 8. And of course, he homered yesterday in the league championship series. He has 4 of the Cardinals' last 7 home runs, including yesterday. So he is a hitter who is changing, and for the better. He has 110 RBIs going into this game for the regular season. 3-2 and 1 out. Leading 9-0, I would think they'd like John Tudor to take it easy.
Oh, they may tie him to the base.
John's been out there on the base paths a lot longer than he has been on the mound. And over at first, Ozzie.
If he runs, I'd like to hear Whitey screaming.
3-2. High pop foul off third. Madlock coming over to the seats. Just missed it. To show you about insult and injury, that ball almost came down on top of the head of the chairman of the board of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Peter O'Malley.
He could have caught this if he needed a ball.
So 3-2 to Tommy Herr. There's Peter in the raincoat, turning, talking to his wife Annette. Runners hold, and that's fouled away. Bobo Castillo, the 3rd Dodger pitcher. Jerry Royce, Rick Honeycutt, and Castillo. Off third, Madlock coming over, has a play. 2 down. So that'll bring up Jack Clark for his 3rd at bat. We're in the bottom of the 3rd. Clark single to right and single to center. Both of those hits came in the 2nd inning for a National League Championship Series record. The 2nd inning was only slightly shorter than Tolstoy's War and Peace. Just a little.
About as much action.
Breaking ball, and he got under it. be caught by Guerrero. He just hit under a high breaking ball.
That sounded like a home run. It really did.
Everything sounds like a home run to that man, but for St. Louis, at the end of 3, 9-0 Birds.
Last year,
The Cardinals breezing 9-0 in the 4th inning. Be the second time around with Duncan, Cavell, and Guerrero. Tudor, who has spent a long time out on the bases, got aboard on the bunt in the 2nd inning and eventually came around to score, walked, and then stopped at second base in the last inning. Mariano Duncan struck out leading off the game. Out in front of that, he hit it off the end of the bat.
I must say, Vin, it's a kind of a ball game the Cardinals really had to come up with, because with that freak accident to Coleman, the gloom really settled in. If they would lose this one, they'd say, oh man, we got beat and Coleman is out.
Yep.
Now, I mean, they are 8 miles high.
0-1. High pop fly on the right side. Clark says he'll take care of it. The batter. Cavell grounded to short in the 1st inning. Good sinker down at the knees.
That's a Hall of Fame pitch right there.
If you hit that, you kill worms or moths or whatever are in the rug. 0-1. Ground ball to short.
I tell you, Vin, he's in such a groove right now that all Nieto has to remember is what finger he puts down so he doesn't cross himself up. He is moving the ball in and out, up and down, again throwing those inside strikes. That makes you a great handler of pitches when the fella's got that kind of stuff.
Well, he's retired 11 in a row. He has a 9-0 lead. His biggest problem now is just strictly to pay attention. And here's Pedro Guerrero. And as the innings go along now, it will be interesting to see whether Whitey will burn him up tonight and let him go 9.
It's a decision he has to make.
Strike.
Now, I made my decision. I said I would leave him in. What would you do?
You mean you'd leave him in for 9?
Yes, sir.
I'd let him go 5 so that he could get the win and take him out.
I think that's the least important thing, is the win.
0-2.
Because if they would take him out and they would lose it, you can call in the dogs because the hunt's over. He's bearing down like he knows he's going to go. There it is again. That super duper slow motion camera. You saw it better than Guerrero.
0-2. Guerrero flied to left in the 1st inning.
Pete swung so hard he really had to get out of the batter's box and regroup. Rewind himself, so to speak.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. We're in the top of the 4th inning. The Cardinals 9, the Dodgers nothing. Cardinals flew away in the 2nd inning.
He's not stalling. I tell you, that change of pace, he was way out in front, swung very hard, and he just hurting a little bit, and that happens sometimes.
And he couldn't get around on a good fastball inside that tied him up. So with everything else going on, John Tudor is perfect. He has a perfect 4 innings under his belt. At the end of 3.5, things in St. Louis are pretty perfect as well. Dave Anderson takes over at shortstop for the Dodgers. Mariano Duncan, as you know, started the game, having missed yesterday's game with a bad knee and a bruised foot. And in a 9-0 out-of-sight game, they figure they might as well rest Duncan. So Anderson is at short. Cesar Cedeno, followed by Tito Landrum and then Terry Pendleton. But remember, John Tudor has pitched a perfect 4 innings. That becomes even more interest in the score now.
Sure does.
4-1. at those zeros. I've been lucky enough to work 2 of them.
I worked Nolan Ryan's. I saw my first one.
There's a shot. Fair ball. And Cedeno heading for extra bases, and he can jog into second.
That was right down the line. He tomahawked a high pitch. He pulls it right past third baseman Madlock. No chance at all.
And they're going to take Cedeno out, and Andy Van Slyke will take over for him. Tough act to follow. Cedeno had a walk, a single, and a double. Oh, I wasn't talking about a no-hitter. I was talking about a perfect game.
Oh, no.
I was lucky enough to do Larson's perfect game in the World Series, and then I got a Koufax perfect game.
Great.
So it'll be fun to see how close Tudor comes.
That's a blessing. Wait a minute.
Be that lucky.
Lucky.
Yeah. Here is Tito Landrum, 0-1. Which brings up yet another question. I'm thinking, well, maybe why do you let him go 5 and take him out? But how could you possibly take a guy out who might be pitching a perfect game?
Have to take him out with a subpoena.
0-1. Ground foul. Landrum, 2 for 2. Nice catch.
Kid brought a cap and made a good play with the cap.
That's baseball's answer to the hat trick.
Nice going. Life's great moments.
Landrum followed by Terry Pendleton. 9 runs, 10 hits for the Cardinals. No runs, no hits for the Dodgers. They have not had a base running. And that's fouled away. Off to the right. 0-2. Breaking ball hit up the middle, and just what the Cardinals need, another run. The throw to the plate, he'll score. Down to second goes Landrum. Can you believe he threw to the plate?
I cannot believe that he did that. He had no chance to get the man at the plate, Van Slyke, and he almost gets his shortstop Anderson with that throw. You got to keep the double play in order. And watch what happens here. No chance here. Look at Anderson duck. And down to second base goes Landrum, and he's got 3 base hits. I wonder how Vince is feeling, Coleman.
Well, I am happy that he... wasn't that a scare before? That was the most awful thing.
You talk about a kid laying in pain, and everybody worried about him because he's such a great kid. And what great news that it isn't serious.
Here's Terry Pendleton, who grounded out and singled 1 for 2. The Cardinals have 10 runs, 11 hits. The Dodgers just can't stop the bleeding, and it's all Cardinal red.
The only salvation a Dodger ball club can get out of this is that they won't have to think about any mistakes that they made. I mean, strategy or bad pitches. I mean,
no second guess.
No second guess.
Thoroughly forgettable game.
That's right. You had your clock clean.
1-1. Professional pride, however, burns, simmers under this kind of a lathering.
Right. But you know that it's not going to wake you up 2 o'clock in the morning with a should've or a could've.
No. 1-2, the count to Terry Pendleton. Tom Nieto, the catcher, on deck. 10-0 St. Louis in the 4th inning. Fouled away.
Now, should the Dodgers come back and win this game, Whitey will have to sleep in the basement because you don't want him jumping out of anything.
John Tudor getting ready to bat again.
He's determined. Look at that look.
He's looking for a hit. He doesn't want to be shut out. One and two the count. And that's hit down the line, foul and out of play. Tito Landrum, the pride of Joplin, Missouri, standing at second base. Nobody out, a run over in the fourth. And the Cardinal bag is filled to bursting, 10-0. And we're in the fourth inning. If you're Lasorda right now, you have to have one thought. Where's all that rain they were talking about? Where is it?
Yep.
It has to come very soon to bail him out, that's for sure. Fouled away.
I tell you, playing here, a 10-run lead, it'd have to be Gloria to come back before they'd call it off. They'd have everybody out there. I think one other time we had a rain delay and the Cars were leading 82. I said they'd have everybody, including Gussie Busch, with blotters out there. It's a big game, and they got that big lead. No way she's going to wash you away.
2-2. We're in the fourth. Three and two. For the Dodgers tonight, Jerry Royce, Rick Honeycutt, and Bobo Castillo. And it continues. So the batter will be Tom Nieto.
Catcher Tom Nieto.
Nieto walked and struck out. He did come around to score a run, however, in that second inning. Almost everybody in St. Louis came around to score a run in that second inning. Landrum at second, Pendleton at first. High bouncers, so Madlock has to go to the bag for the easy fours. Landrum was not about to run into the tag, if nothing else.
Do you know who the most dedicated worker is in this ballpark tonight?
No.
Mike Brito behind the home plate putting a radar gun on Bobby Castillo in a 10-0 ball game.
That's right.
What is he going to do with those numbers?
He puts the gun up, he presses it, and instead of registering miles per hour, it says, "Who cares?" A tricky gun. You can hit 300 with that stogie that he puffs on.
There goes the gun.
Right. At first and second, Tom Nieto at first, Terry Pendleton at second. One out. Bottom of the fourth inning. And it is 10-0 Cardinal. 0-2. Tudor pitches in the fifth inning, and that's really the story now. He'll be facing Bill Madlock, Mike Marshall, and Mike Scioscia. One and two. And 2 strikes. 1 out. Tudor aboard on an error on the bunt that got a run home and walked. And pitching a perfect 4 innings.
Castillo's pitching very carefully to him.
Trying to pitch around him. I don't know why, but that's what's happening.
Willie McGee 0 for 3 is on deck. High foul, out of play.
I'd say I've been in games like this when I've gone out to the mound and I said, please, just throw a strike. My feet are hurting, my hands hurt, everything's hurting. Let's get it. Get it over the plate. Don't be trying to hit the corners.
And a shot. He picked it up on the bounce. They get one and they get the double play. A fine fielding play by Castillo to short at the comebacker and get the double play and take a base hit away from Tudor. It's 10-0 Cardinals. We'll be back after these messages. Andy Van Slyke, who ran for Cesar Cedeno, will stay in the game in right field. The big story is dead center of the diamond, John Tudor. Tudor has only made 35 pitches, and he hasn't thrown a ball into the last 5 batters. He has retired 12 in a row, and now he has Madlock, Marshall, and Socia to contend with. Good off speed, and Madlock couldn't hold up. Madlock rolled out to short, 0 for 1. One ball, one strike. This, of course, is the inning that makes it an official game, and for Tudor, it now makes him the official pitcher of record, where he stands to win. Ground ball to third, Pendleton to Clark. In a row, retired by John Tudor. And Mike Marshall, the batter.
And he'll remember that Marshall swung on the first pitch that first time up and fly deep to center field, well over 400 feet.
John Tudor out of Schenectady, New York, where he was born 31 years ago. He was in the Red Sox organization, pitched for Boston in 79, 80, and then 81, 2, and 3. 1 year in Pittsburgh, and now here in St. Louis. The Dodgers have Steve Yeager on deck to bat for Mike Socia. 1-1. Another off speed, 1-2.
Not only is it off speed, he's really spotting it well. He's thrown 3 pitches to the outside part of the plate. Talked about widening that plate early in the game. He can go any place he wants, outside or go inside with a strike.
John Tudor pitched a 1-hitter this year. He got into the 5th inning, and the only hit he allowed was to Leon Durham of the Chicago Cubs. He also had a 2-hitter against the Cubs. Ground foul. So John Tudor, who has pretty much become the most dominant Cardinal pitcher since Bob Gibson in 1968. And Bob Gibson and Stan Musial threw out the first ball tonight. They must have known something when they had 2 people throwing out 2 balls.
What do you mean?
A night of action. And all St. Louis. 2-2. One hopper at Ozzie. To Clark. 14 consecutive, retired by John Tudor. And with 2 out in the 5th inning, Steve Yeager coming out.
Here's what the batter sees. Look at that concentration as to where he's going to throw it. And there it is again, that off-speed pitch.
Steve Yeager making his first appearance in the League Championship Series. He's been in 6 of them. And hooks one down the left field line, foul. 1-1. So John Tudor has retired 14 in a row. We have 2 out in the 5th inning. And he really becomes the star of the show now that it's a runaway 10-0 Cardinal lead. Two balls and 1 strike to Yeager. On deck, Candy Maldonado. No swing. Ball 3. So now the perfecto is in jeopardy as he goes 3-1 to Yeager. Pop foul off to the right, very doubtful, and no play. 3 rows back of the Cardinal dugout. Nieto and Clark came over. So 3-2 to Yeager. So there goes the perfect game effort as Yeager walks. The Dodgers get their first base runner, which means for the first time tonight he'll pitch from a stretch.
No doubt about it, he misses the strike zone.
So with 2 out, Candy Maldonado, who struck out in the 3rd inning. It's a ground ball to Ozzie. He'll go the short way, and so the no-hitter is still alive. At the end of 4 1/2, the Cardinals 10, the Dodgers nothing, and everything is right in the house of Tudor. McGee, the league's leading hitter, is 0 for 3, and the Dodgers have thoroughly shut him down so far. He has hit 188. They don't need him tonight. Little fly ball back a third down the line can be trouble, and it is. And McGee is on his way for 2, and he has an AstroTurf double.
Guerrero gave it a good chase. He thinks he's got a chance. Now he knows he's in trouble. He's going to get that big body in the way to keep that ball from bouncing over his head. Or McGee would have maybe made an inside the park home run.
So with a runner at second and nobody out, you have Ozzie Smith, Tommy Herr, and Jack Clark. Ozzie Smith flied to center in the 1st inning. It's hard to remember the 1st inning was so peaceful. The Cardinals went 1-2-3. That's been the neatest trick of the night. Since then, he's had 2 singles. High chopper, tough play. Castillo makes it, and on it, McGee moves to 3rd. 1 out.
Castillo has shown that he is quite a fielder. He made a tremendous play on it. His ball hit by Tudor for a double play, and that was a tough play because there's nothing you can do. You can't go up and get that ball. You have to wait for it to come down, and you have to be quick, and he was.
So with 1 out and Willie McGee at 3rd, Tommy Herr the batter. We're in the bottom of the 5th, 10-0 St. Louis. But the big story, 10 runs, 12 hits for the Cardinals. No runs, no hits for the Dodgers. Herr has grounded out 2 singles. Hitting .385 in the playoffs. 3-0 the count at Tom. Her with 5 hits in the series has 3 doubles and a home run. McGee opened up with that pop fly double, took third as Ozzie Smith chopped one back over the mound, and her trying to pick him up. And he drives one to deep right center. Back goes Marshall. He'll make the catch. McGee tags, and the Cardinals lead this little thriller 11-0.
And keep in mind the count, 3-0. Tommy Herr hit 3-0 again. There you see it. He really waits. There's no hurry the way he can run. He's going to just jog in. That ball was hit way deep.
Here's one fisted wide of first, backhanded by Cabell, overhands to Castillo in time for the out, but the Cardinals get another run. And at the end of 5, the Cardinals 11, the Dodgers nothing. And let's see about Tudor against Sachs, the pitcher, and Duncan. Should we break the bubble, the illusion? It's not usually this easy. Family night at Busch Stadium, and the gang's here. 11-0 St. Louis. And now John Tudor takes another step as he goes into the 6th inning without having allowed a hit. Steve Sachs, followed by Bobo Castillo, and then the leadoff man, Dave Anderson. Sachs struck out in the 3rd inning. 4-1. John Tudor has allowed 1 man to get aboard. He went 3-2 to Yeager with 2 out in the 5th inning and walked him. Otherwise, he has been perfect. Ground ball, and there it is, and it's going to be for extra bases. And ironically, the same Dodger who got the first hit in each of the first 2 games is the one who breaks up the no-hitter. But what a magnificent 5, and John Tudor is getting a standing ovation from the crowd. The other good thing about it was as clean as a whistle. You'd hate to see a little flare break it up.
There's no doubt about it. It was well hit. No chance for penalty. And there you see it. I mean, it is by him. That ball tattooed. Easy double.
So here is Castillo. Strike. 0-1. Kind of discouraging. Castillo was looking down at Amalfitano, who was not looking at him. 0-1.
That got Nieto. And as always, the umpire checks the ball. Yeah, the ball's all right. Here, put it in play. Never mind, your arm is hurt, kid. Ball's fine. Watch this nick he gets. Boom.
Ooh, right in the neck.
Now watch the umpire, though. The umpire reacts just like all good umpires do. Go get the ball. That's it. Get the ball now. The ball might be hurt.
Never mind that Adams apple.
Never mind. The ball's covered by insurance.
You know, that's why Dodger catchers wear that chin piece that hangs down to prevent that kind of an injury.
It's a great... Bill Bueller's the one who came up with it, and it's a great, great addition.
I bet Nieto wishes he had one right about now. 0-2. That's 4 strikeouts for John Tudor. 1 out in the 6th inning. And Dave Anderson coming up.
Look at the rotation on this. That super duper really, he turned it over, and that super duper camera really shows that rotation of the ball.
Dave Anderson Anderson hit better against the Cardinals than any other team in the league. He hit .261 against them. Anderson played yesterday, walked twice, went over 3, and he is, as you see, 0 for 4 in the league championship series. The Cardinals scored 9 in the second inning. That broke the game wide open. Then they added a run in the 4th, a run in the 5th. So they are leading 11-0. The record for most runs in a National League championship game, the Cubs beat the Padres, you might remember, 13-0. Ground foul. Didn't help the Cubs very much as things turned out. And Lasorda can right now think about tomorrow. And so will Whitey Herzog. It'll be Fernando Valenzuela 17-8 and Bob Forsch 8-5. And now that Tudor has allowed the hit, the question has almost been answered. John is still out there. We're in the 6th inning, and we were wondering about the possibility of an early hook with a big lead. 2-2. Two strikes, 1 out. Steve Sachs at second base. We're in the 6th inning. Cardinals 11, Dodgers nothing. The Cardinals on their way to tying up the league championship series at 2 games apiece. And remember, the Cardinals, as we told you when we came here, had the best record at home in the National League. They won 54 and lost only 27. 2-2. Even with a runaway game like this, when he missed on that pitch, he looked over instinctively to see who the on-deck hitter was. Enos Cabell.
He's also really checking Steve Sachs at second base.
3-2.
Look at that.
Ball 4. So with 1st and 2nd and 1 out in the 6th inning, Enos Cabell coming up.
First baseman Enos Cabell.
Cabell is grounded to short twice. A reminder tomorrow, the Dodgers and Cardinals in National League Championship game number 5 at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Fernando Valenzuela and Bob Forsch.
Just not sure of the signs because strategy went out the window as far as both ball clubs are concerned.
11-0 Cardinals, top of the 6th. The Dodgers with 1 hit, a whimper of protest. A double by Steve Sachs in the 6th inning. And that's hit foul down the right field line, out of play. We had 53,708 yesterday, and it would certainly appear to be again that many here tonight. 0-1 to Cabell. On deck, Pedro Guerrero. Popped it up, and it'll be Terry Pendleton. The infield fly rule is called, and Pendleton will hold on to it. That's the 2nd out here in the 6th inning, and the batter is Pedro Guerrero. Guerrero flied to left and grounded out 0 for 2. Remember that Billy Martin quote way back early in the year when he said all Latin players are high ball, first ball, fastball hitters? And Guerrero says, no, not all. I'm a low ball hitter.
Is he a first ball fastball?
Let's see.
He is. Well, he will. This is not a good test in this game.
No, 11-0 Cardinals. Ball 1. Steve Sachs at second. Anderson at first with 2 out. And John Tudor with a firm grip on the game as well as the ball.
for some reason, Tudor and Nieto are starting to have trouble getting in sync as far as signs. I think the base runner at second base, I'd just soon forget about him, because if Sachs is stealing them, he's not going to be passing them right now. Maybe the next game, and you got time to change him.
1-0. And he popped it foul and out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Cardinals split the 6 previous meetings in the regular season here. The Dodgers wound up winning 7 of 12 by winning 4 of the 6 at Dodger Stadium, where they won the first 2 of the league championship series. But the Cardinals now coming right back and have them by the neck. 11-0, 6th inning, 2 out. 1-1 to Pedro Guerrero. Ball down to Pendleton, and he goes the long way to Clark, and the Dodgers get their only hit and leave 2. And at the end of 5.5 innings, it's all John Tudor and the Cardinals, 11-0.
League baseball.
1985 has been a great year for me and a record-breaking year for the family of baseball. Like any family, we've had our share of problems, and we're working hard to solve them. But we've had some great performances, too. Just take that young man in St. Louis, and that kid on the mound in New York, and that youngster like myself in Houston. From all of us in the family of baseball to all you families who cheered for us, thank you for sharing a great season.
Major League Baseball, a family tradition. Share it all.
I guess it's almost un-American of me, but there are times where I do not believe the game is not over till the last man is out, and this is one of them.
This is definitely one of them, and I've been in enough games like this. It's like a toothache or tight shoes. You can't wait to get them off, or hit yourself with a hammer. It feels so good when it stops.
Remember those wonderful days and nights with Pittsburgh?
Oh, man, you wake up seeing games like this every day. Knew that the turning point was the playing of the national anthem.
Fun to go to the park, huh?
Oh, yeah. Really a lot of fun.
Well, it's been a lot of fun for the Cardinals. And Andy Van Slyke will start it off. He took over for Cedeno at a big night, a walk, a single, and a double. The 6th inning, 11-0 St. Louis. Van Slyke, good young outfielder with a wonderful arm. 1-1. Breaking ball hit to shortstop. Anderson to Cabell, 1 away.
Vin, we both know Tommy Lasorda pretty well. I'm going to ask you. I got my own opinion. You think he'll have a meeting tomorrow? Now, he's created motivation. He's created picking guys up. Now, he took that Whitey Herzog quote that Whitey made in May that was printed during this series and used it to his advantage. You think he'll have a speech for this club?
Yes, I do, and I also think that he has his favorite pitcher going tomorrow. He has the one pitcher he feels who is his toughest horse, his big guy, and I think he will bring that out in some kind of a pep talk.
I agree. I think he's going to get one of those gippers.
You know, Whitey Herzog is really ticked off. There was a quote, I guess it was in the wires, it carried in every paper, where he said after, I think it was the 2nd game at Dodger Stadium.
He was quoted in the paper after the 2nd game, yeah.
And the quote said, the Dodgers are horse bleep, and they are living in bleep, and they're horse bleep except for their pitching. So we saw him here before the game 3, and he was furious.
Yep.
And he said, you know, I said that. He said, but I said it in May.
When they were.
When they were. And he said, they just took a quote from May and put it in the paper in October and made it sound like I said it after game 2.
And the sidelight to that in Los Angeles, he said to Lasorda, he said, now, you know I didn't say that. And Tommy said, hey, it's in the paper. And Tommy put it on the bulletin board, used it as the main thrust of his speech.
Well, that'll take care of Tito Landrum. And with 2 out in the 6th inning, Terry Pendleton, the batter.
Third baseman Terry Pendleton.
Grounded grounded out, single to right, and walked. 3 RBIs. So number 9, as we said, came back to haunt the Dodgers like it did in 1978. It was Greg Nettles in 78. Now it's Pendleton here in 85. Ground ball, foul, and I think he cracked his bat. I haven't lost my ear for a broken bat yet. Followed by Tom Nieto.
You're an expert on broken bats. I thought I was.
Yeah, I really am. Yeah, I'm a specialist.
You can really tell the sound a long way.
Yeah, one of the reasons at Fordham the Jesuits take a vow of poverty is because I broke so many bats up there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hit into left field, Guerrero. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Good news. The x-rays were negative. The right leg was not involved. No apparent tissue damage. But the timetable for his return says he'll be reevaluated and examined tomorrow. And if he checks out like he did tonight, then it'll be up to him as to how much pain he can tolerate. It was a freakish accident with the tarp, and I tell you, your heart went out. You worried about today's game, but you worried about the career of that young budding star, and it's good news, so he may be back sooner than we all thought when we saw it happen.
Well, we sure hope so, as Bill Madlock starts off the 7th inning. In case you're unfamiliar, maybe we can get a shot of the hidden tarp roller. The area where it is in the field. That's going to hook in the corner and gone. Home run, Madlock. And that makes it 11-1. So Tudor lost the perfect game in the 5th inning when he walked Yeager. He walked the no-hitter in the 6th inning when he gave up the double to Sachs. Now he loses the shutout with the home run to Madlock. And the Dodgers continue that strange statistic where they're out-homered at home, but they out-homer the opponents on the road.
Right fielder, Mike Marshall.
This is for the Bill Madlock Marching and Chowder Society.
Looked like it was going to hook. Foul, but over it goes.
The tarp roller that caused all the trouble extends from an area behind home plate, well beyond first base and down the line. And the roller itself weighs 1,200 pounds. Now it comes up out of the ground like an elevator and then rolls. There it is. It extends from that area all the way down behind home plate. We're just going by first. See, that's how long it is. I was told, though I'm not sure this is correct, that the roller operates on 3 different speeds, 1, 2, 3. The lower, the slower. And fortunately, it was on speed 1, and one of the ground crew members reacted so quickly. There's a drive up the alley in left center. McGee to cut it off, and Marshall a long single.
That's a telltale defensive play by the Cardinal outfield. That ball normally would be a 2-base hit. They cut it off, and there's your double play being kept in order, and that's what the good ball club does.
And Steve Yeager coming up as McGee comes over to make sure that's just a long single.
Still fairly wet out there, so that water just squishing out of there.
Just to finish up that last thing about the roller, the first time I ever saw one, and maybe it was the first time you did, was at old Forbes Field in Pittsburgh.
Right.
And they have one at Three Rivers in Pittsburgh. And this one, I think those are the only 2 in existence to my knowledge. Well, anyway, Vince is apparently okay, and we'll go one day at a time as Mike Rourke decides he better go out there and talk to John Tudor. Though it is 11-1 Cardinals, the Dodgers have 3 hits. Carlos Diaz down in the bullpen. When they get down to Castillo's spot, they would bat for him. One ball, no strikes. And And there's a hopper, short hop by her. Goes to Ozzie. What a play by Ozzie. Safe at first. But what a play on a bad throw by Ozzie Smith at second base.
Tommy Hurst slipped when he threw that ball, and he threw it right at the shoe tops. Watch this now. As he starts to throw, his feet will give from right there. You see that? Then watch Ozzie. He takes it off the shoe tops. He was even able to catch that. Of course, he loses the double play, but he made a tremendous play. Another look at it. He couldn't get much on the throw because he was off balance, but there's the tip-off. McGee cuts it off, the double play. Normally they would have had it, and there it was, 2 big outs.
What remarkable body control by Ozzie Smith. Maldonado way out in front of it. Maybe Tudor, after that discussion, and of course, there's a little footnote on Ozzie. And if Mike Rourke said to him, okay, give me 1 more inning, that'll be enough, because they're going to back him up in the bullpen. 0-1. Check swing foul. 0-2. It is 11-1 Cardinals, so there's no real doubt. Right-handers Campbell, left-handers Horton.
He must have said something about a twinge or not feeling just right, because they're heating up like they're coming in.
Home run single, and Yeager's ball was hit very hard. Way out in front yet again. And Maldonado comes up empty. That's the second time he has struck out. It's that perfect turnover down and away, and they're hitting at soap bubbles.
Second baseman, Steve Sachs.
It's that change. That's what he's throwing. He's got an excellent change of pace. And I mean, he's way out in front.
5 strikeouts for John Tudor, and the batter is Steve Sachs, who struck out and then got the first hit when he hooked a double into the left field corner. Babo Castillo is on deck. 0-1. Since Tudor has now allowed 3 hits, a little of the magic of his performance has disappeared. The lowest low-hit games in League Championship Series, Ross Grimsley, a 2-hitter against Pittsburgh in '72, John Matlack of the Mets against the Reds in '73, and the American League Vida Blue, a 2-hitter against Baltimore in 1974. And of course, Tudor had a perfect game for 4 2/3 innings. He had a no-hitter for 5 innings. 2-1. Fouled away. 2-2. The quick way to Tommy Hurd for the force on Yeager, and the Dodgers settle for 1 run, 2 hits, and leave a man. And at the end of 6 1/2, 11-1 St. Louis. Tudor might be leaving.
Here is a package on how John Tudor pitches. Look what he does to Maldonado. Outside corner. Strike. This is Sachs. Watch where this one is. Inside corner. You talk about using the lanes, never down the middle, inside, outside corner, cornering the Dodgers. That's what he did. Now, Tudor was talking to Mike Rourke. There's Red shaking hands with him, so Tudor's had it. They're going to bring somebody else in.
But talking about corner, at the hot corner, so to speak, Bob Baylor will take over for Bill Madlock. And we go to the bottom of the 7th inning on a night that has seen the Cardinals completely overwhelm the Dodgers, and it started in the 2nd inning when they scored 9 times and blew the Dodgers right out of the water. They blew Jerry Royce along with it, and Royce will be 0-7, the most losses in League Championship Series play. 4-1.
That's one of those statistics that you can say, well, if you're not a good pitcher, you don't get that many chances. What do you think?
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Vern. Brian Harper on deck.
You know what I mean?
Now, there's Brian, and down in the bullpen, Ricky Horton is tuning up. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2. Nieto 0 for 2, struck out, hit into a force play. That hit the bat. Foul ball. 2-2. Harper has been called back. Mike Jorgensen is out on deck. So Jorgensen will get a chance to swing the bat and maybe stay in the game and give Jack Clark the rest of the night off. Tudor threw 83 pitches. So he was really breezing for the first 5 innings. Strike 3 called to Tom Nieto. Tomorrow is a travel day for the American League Championships, and then Tuesday, Game 6. The Royals are in Toronto with the Blue Jays leading 3-2, and that'll be a dandy with Doyle Alexander and Bud Black. That'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's Tuesday night. Tomorrow, the Dodgers and the Cardinals, and it'll be Fernando Valenzuela and Bob Forge. For Mike Jorgensen, this has to be a thrill, just to get in the game any way he can. It's the first time in his 15-year big league career that he's been on a division-winning team. Of course, among other things, he went through that terrible beating, and you thought he would never play again. 2-0. Ricky Horton is heading for the Cardinal dugout. That's popped in the air, foul, and out of play. So there's Ricky coming in. 11-1 in favor of the Cardinals. Bottom of the 7th inning. Fastball on the corner. This will be the last inning of work for Bobo Castillo. He came in the 2nd inning, so he has labored long. He has given up 2 runs and 4 hits, and he'll lead off the 8th. His spot will, and they'll bat for him. Down in the pen, throwing in between starts, is Oral Hershiser. He would figure to pitch Game 6 in Los Angeles. That's fouled away.
I'd figure the ease that Tudor had tonight and the number of pitches and everything, he possibly could come back Game 7, 3 days.
Yeah, especially if he really didn't have any pain.
Yeah.
And we know that Danny Cox had to leave because of his stiff elbow. That was the one reason why I wondered about taking him out even earlier. But then he went ahead and had a no-hitter going. That made it tough if Whitey had even had the thought. Well, that takes care of Jorgensen. 2 down.
Willie McGee.
And here's Willie McGee. McGee grounded to short, twice flied to right, and then pop fly double to left. And eventually came around to score a run. Willie hitting .235. Fouled away. Boy, when you think about it, you shudder how life can turn so quickly. Remember, we were on the field. It was about 4:30. There's Willie McGee, Ozzie Smith, and Vince Coleman, and we're all laughing and scratching and having a ball.
Right.
And 15 minutes later, Coleman is trapped and screaming in pain, and
your heart is in your mouth. Yeah, but he's going to be all right.
Amen. At the end of 7, it is 11-1 St. Louis. Was what looked like a double play ball that Cedeno hit that Madlock failed to handle. Then there was John Tudor, remember? Bad bunt, right back to Royce. Pick it up, Jerry. And a run scores.
Some night, I'll tell you.
How about this one? Mariano Duncan will backhand, whoops, off the glove. And another one to follow. Ozzie chops one to short. Madlock can't. Duncan can. Still can't get him. Add it all up. It's 11-1 St. Louis.
And remember the throws that were bad.
And, of course, those were not the only hits, as Matuszek hits a line drive single to left field. Matuszek hitting for Castillo. The Cardinals piled up a dozen hits. So they whacked the Dodgers pretty thoroughly. And Ricky Horton greeted with a base hit to left field by Matuszek.
Shortstop, Dave Anderson.
Dave Anderson finishing up for Mariano Duncan. 11-1 in favor of the Cardinals. The Dodgers got 1 run, 3 hits off John Tudor. High chopper to third. Pendleton over to Clark. So taking second is Matuszek. And the batter, Enos Cabell.
First baseman, Enos Cabell.
Cabell twice grounded to short and popped up under the infield fly rule, so he's a hungry hitter now, 0 for 8 in the series. The Cardinals have been pretty quiet. They might have just been exhausted after that second inning. They have not had a base hit since the 5th, but they cashed it in for a double. They're leading 11-1 here in the 8th. Down the right field line, slicing in the corner, foul ball.
You know, it is ironic, but when you get in a game like this and score 9 big runs, your whole outlook changes to the point you just go up and hit the ball and maybe try to jerk one out. It's almost, now hear what I'm going to say, that sometimes when you got a good inning going, a guy hits a home run, it's really a rally stopper. Because everybody, well, we got a bunch of them now, and
yeah, that's
boom.
enough. Ho-hum.
Yeah.
It's over. Yeah, 9 runs in the second inning. The Birds were overfed. 0-2 the count to Cabell. Oh, that's a mean pitch. Down
vicious,
and in.
Vicious. Whew. Tough pitch. Really a sharp breaking curveball. There was nothing he could do. If he hits that ball, he hits a little dribbler to Pendleton if he's lucky. The determination is enough to tell you it's a breaking ball. You can watch that hand just come over and snap it. Look at it rotating in. And Cabell inside, he tries to fight it off. He doesn't get a piece of it and is out.
So Pedro Guerrero, the batter, flied to left, grounded to second, grounded to third, 0 for 3. Still hitting .333 in the series. 2 down. In the Dodger bullpen, Carlos Diaz is walking in. He'll be pitching the bottom of the 8th inning, while Hershiser just gets in a little work. But Carlos is going to work. Runs in the second, and a run in the 4th, and a run in the 5th for the Cardinals. The only Dodger run, the home run by Madlock in the 7th inning. John Tudor had a perfect game for 4 2/3 innings, had a no-hitter for 5 innings, and then left at the end of 7. 1-1. Fouled away. 1-2. Baylor, who's finishing up at third base, is on deck. There he is. Buzz, as they call him. And Tommy Lasorda and Whitey Herzog, they've both been through the mill and the grill for so long and for so many years. They've been on this side many a time. Pop fly, didn't get around on it. The ball slicing foul down the line. Clark in pursuit, can't get it.
You watch Clark chase that ball, and you really appreciate that play Pendleton made yesterday. And his explanation was something. He said, when I see a ball go in the air, I just run as hard as I can because I think I'm the only guy that can catch it. Until they run me off, I'm going to keep going.
And the thing that I really admired about Pendleton yesterday was the fact that he was doing, and he knew exactly what wrecked his leg and put him on the disabled list and really just messed up his whole season. And yet,
he went.
He went. Bobo Castillo went 5 1/3 innings and pitched very well. He allowed 1 earned run and wound up striking out 5, walking 2. Guerrero has 2 RBIs with his 4 hits in the series. And maybe the big shock, you remember, 2 stolen bases. And he hammers that one into left field. That will get the run home. So Matuszak carries it in to make it 11-2 in favor of the Cardinals. That's the 3rd RBI for Guerrero.
Third baseman, Bob Baylor.
And Bob Baylor coming up with Greg Brock. No, Mike Marshall coming out on deck. With a run in the 7th and a run in the 8th, with the Cardinals leading easily 11-2. Baylor in his first at bat in the league championship series. 1-0. Not a big man, as you can see, 5'10", and maybe when he's really puffed up 160 pounds. Best year ever he had in the big leagues was 1977. He hit .310 for the Toronto Blue Jays. Pedro Guerrero standing at first. We're in the 8th inning, 11-2 St. Louis. Ricky Horton trying to get the required outs and put the seal on this one. And then Bob Forsch. That's popped in the air. Van Slyke and McGee. It'll be Van Slyke. The Dodgers settle for a run on a couple of hits, and at the end of 7 1/2, 11-2 St. Louis. Typewriters, no matter how you look at typing, we're your type. And Ozzie Smith takes ball 1 from Carlos Diaz. Glenn Matuszak is now in left field. Ground ball to 3rd to Baylor. Over to Cabell, 1 away. So if you're keeping score, Matuszak stays in the lineup hitting 9th, and Diaz is in Guerrero's spot. If you're keeping score.
I'm keeping score.
Right.
I wouldn't miss a chance to keep score of a game like this.
It's Tommy Herr. Grounded out, single, fouled out, and then had a scoring fly ball. Tomorrow at 3:05 Eastern Daylight Time, Fernando Valenzuela, who certainly figured to pitch an important game, 17 8, and Bob Forsch, who didn't figure until Joaquin Andujar had so much trouble. And Forsch with a record of 8 5. That's tomorrow, 3:05 Eastern Daylight Time, right here on NBC.
What kind of a competitor is that Forsch? Well, his record tells you, but he was practicing his hitting today.
1-0. Ball 2. Well, the other night, remember in Dodger Stadium, Andujar was wobbling, and there was Forsch throwing in the darkness back of right field, and it told you a lot.
He went down to the cage underneath the stands here and just started working, bunting, and then started hitting.
2-0. There's Bob Forsch. He has a big date tomorrow. You can bet he'll keep it. The Cardinals have stopped since McGee got that bloop double in the 5th inning. They don't have a base hit. That's a strike. 3-1. Not what they needed. 11 runs, a dozen hits. Carlos Diaz, the 4th Dodger pitcher. Royce, Honeycutt, Castillo, and Diaz. Ground foul. 3-2. all-star having an all-star year. Had 180 hits. He had 110 RBIs. He stole 31 bases. He was the first Cardinal all-star since Julian Javier back in 1968, and he deserved every honor he got. Down he goes. Two down on the 8th. And here's Jack Clark. Clark wants his rips, I guess.
And this guy's got a chance to swing the bat. He's going to swing it. He doesn't come to the ballpark to do a lot of things, but one thing he wants to do is hit.
Well, I thought, considering the rib cage injury when Mike Jorgensen batted, that they might make a 2-for-1 switch, but here he is, and it's not a bad idea for him to get an at-bat now, because Diaz throws a little bit like Fernando. Screwballs, and he kind of gets you ready for him. 2-0. They're not the same pitchers. All you have to do is look at their IRS reports. But they're left-handed and they have screwballs.
And that's the way to play of today is forget the ERA. It's the IRS that's important.
2-0.
Now tell me he's got a bad rib cage.
I'm just going to say it. He just passed the examination.
He just passed it as right. He had as good a cut as you can take on a pitch.
2 out, bottom of the 8th. The Dodgers have Marshall, Yeager, and Maldonado in the 9th. 3-1.
It's true what's been said about him. When he walks in the batter's box, he's in scoring position. He rips.
3-1 to Jack Clark. Oh, he turned that one over. 3-2.
You know, when you're catching, sometimes when a guy swings like that, I'm telling you the truth, you can almost feel the vacuum, like the mass is going, just getting sucked off. Look at this.
3-2. Fastball hit to left center. Maldonado can't get it and knees it back to the infield. Clark to second and made it. Maldonado trying to catch it, then trying to short hop it, and the ball hit his left knee, and that gave Clark the extra base, as if he needed it.
Once that ball hits that artificial surface, you don't have it. I mean, you got to be in front of it. If you're not short hopping it, you got to be like a hockey goalie and just keep it in front of you.
So that's 2 singles and a double for Clark. We have the same paid attendance as yesterday. Can that be 53,708? Maybe they never went home. Exact same paid.
Just stayed overnight.
In there. 1-1. Andy Van Slyke.
That can't be possible. Somebody had to stay home.
Yeah.
Somebody must have left later. So.
They say capacity is 50,300. So they're standing room only, and of course you can see the good folks standing on the balconies, and most of them filled with joy. And very well and easily understood. It's been all St. Louis. 11-2 Cardinals. We're in the bottom of the 8th with 2 out. Ground foul. The Dodger bench quiet, and I guess the best you could say for them, thinking about tomorrow. Tonight should be relatively easy to forget. Lined into right field, base hit. Here comes Clark.
you see the run score and we took a shot at the bench, you have to go to the sacred book of cliches. The winners laugh and tell jokes, and the losers are saying, deal those rotten cards. Look at the smiles over there, and there it is. Deal the cards.
As a victory has 1,000 fathers, and defeat is an orphan.
Right.
Bill Russell, the dean of the Dodgers. He's seen them get their curds and whey handed to them before. There's a line drive base hit, and down to second goes Van Slyke on a single by Landrum, who now has 4 hits. And he was the guy substituting for Vince Coleman on last minute's notice. Great night for Tito Landrum.
Well, I tell you, they talked about that outfield all year long. The outfield was Coleman, McGee, Van Slyke, and Landrum. We even showed you a T-shirt where they combined the names of 2 fellas. They've really done a job. And I tell you, tonight, filling in 4 base hits.
And that's hit to center. Maldonado coming up makes the catch. So the Cardinals get 1. And at the end of 8, it is all St. Louis, 12-2. The light beer from Miller player of the game is John Tudor. Light beer from Miller happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of John Tudor to help fight multiple sclerosis. And certainly a footnote and an asterisk on this game, and a little salute to Tito Landrum. He tied a National League championship record tonight, coming in the last minute for the injured Vince Coleman, and he had 4 hits. Bob Robertson, Ron Cey, Steve Garvey, Dusty Baker, Terry Poole, and Tito Landrum. Garvey did it twice. Over in the American League, Paul Blair had 5 hits in one game. Here's Bill Campbell pitching to Mike Marshall. Steve Sachs alone with his thoughts. And Jay Johnstone, only Jay Johnstone can imagine his thoughts. To the count to Mike Marshall. Yeah, one thing about Johnstone's role in the Dodger dugout tonight, there is no room for a court jester. 12-2 St. Louis. Fouled away. And then there's Enos Cabell, who left Detroit a year too soon. And he sits and realizes they've been caught. Ball 1. And there's young Dave Anderson, who lost his shortstop job to Mariano Duncan and wound up playing yesterday only because Duncan was hurt, and filled in for Duncan tonight when the game was gone. Terry Penelon, number 9, haunting the Dodgers again. Lasorda, who has plenty of memories of that 1978 World Series when the Dodgers won the first 2 at Dodger Stadium, and names like Nettles and Jackson got in his way and he saw them lose. And then in '81, the same Lasorda, who saw the Yankees win 2 straight and the Dodgers come back to win it. 0-1 to Yeager. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. Coordinating producer for baseball, Harry Coyle. Tonight's game produced by George Finkel, directed by Harry Coyle. The pregame produced by David Neal. Directed by John Libretto. Technical director, Richard Sansevier. Ground foul. Crowd of 53,708. Many have left, others have stayed and are singing because they have done what they prayed they would do. They have come back revitalized and are very much alive and even. 2 games apiece. And down goes Yeager. And the Cardinals now are 1 out away. They're giving the ball to Bob Forsch, and the crowd is up, and they will now hold center stage. Greg Brock will be the pinch hitter for Candy Maldonado. Popped up. They're even. So the Dodgers file out, and the Cardinals take some time to exult as they wallop the Dodgers 12-2. They are now even 2 games apiece, and it's Fernando and Force tomorrow.
As we said earlier, Vin, it was the kind of a game the Cardinals needed because the gloom really set in when the freaky accident occurred as far as Vince Coleman was concerned. Luckily, he's going to be all right. They really blew the Dodgers right out, and now, again, it's a 2-game season, the first team to win the 2 games.
Fireworks high in the air. A lot of song and a lot of hearts here in St. Louis as the Cardinals and Dodgers are even at 2 games apiece. Fernando Valenzuela